So today's practice is a thoracic spine mobility practice. And the thoracic spine is the 12 vertebrae that sit beneath the neck and above your belly area. And they're attached to the ribs. So each of the ribs is attached into this part of your vertebrae, which means it doesn't move so much on purpose because the ribs are protecting the lungs and the heart so that they don't get injured in any way. But we do want to be able to mobilize this area as best we can. So we want to be moving it to the most that we can. And the practice today is designed to just figure out a few different ways that you can perhaps take from this practice and put into your day-to-day routine, ways to move the spine. So we're going to move the spine in all the directions that we can, which is sideways, flexing forward, extending backwards, and then twisting. And then when we come into downward facing dog, we're going to lengthen it. Okay, so we call that axial extension. And that's really going to be the focus today, taking us through some simple shapes and focusing our attention on the spine. You'll of course feel it through the hips as well, and it's going to feel pretty much like you've done a whole body movement class, but the main focus is on creating this space so that we can breathe a little more easily into the upper body. So with that in mind, let's get started. So grab your blocks. And we're going to place one for our head, and that may be on the second height, it may be on the third height, so we're just going to see which one suits us best for the position we're in. And then this second block is going to be placed underneath the chest or underneath the shoulders, okay, the base of the shoulder blades. And if it doesn't feel good in that direction, turn it around so that it faces between your sternum, this bony bit between the chest, and just above your belly button, okay, both will work. And your legs are going to be completely relaxed, and this is just for a short hold. So legs are as if you were in Shavasana. You'll lie yourself down, holding the blocks as you do, so there's no nasty surprises for any part of your body. And then just making sure that the one, particularly for your head, all four corners are flat to the ground before you rest the weight of your head onto it. Okay? And then once you're there, just take your arms out as wide as you can so that you still feel comfortable and relaxed. I like to scoop the buttocks under a little here, the fleshy part, just pushing it under so there's a little bit more length in my lower back, my lumbar spine. And take as long as you need to get comfortable in that position, just closing your eyes once you're there, making any little micro adjustments that allow you to feel like you're able to switch off and be at ease for a moment or two. And just take a nice big breath in once you finally arrive into that position. An elevated, lifted chest, a nice opening through the front of the ribs. Shoulders drawing down naturally either side of the block, so the chest is lifted. The job of gravity is doing all it can to open up through the chest here. And the spine is in extension, a back bend position, and everything else in the body is relaxed. So invite that sense of softening, relaxing, letting go around the space in between the eyebrows, the forehead area, around the edges of the eyes. Open the mouth ever so slightly and just give the jaw a little wiggle from side to side. Release any tension that sometimes lingers there. The shoulders, the neck, the upper back, all of these are areas where we grip and hold on when we're under pressure. Relax the tongue away from the roof of the mouth if it happens to be pressing into it. Notice when you do that in day-to-day life, away from the yoga mat as well. Catching these habits makes it easier to undo them. And notice how just drawing your awareness to those little places that we hold tension and relaxing them gave you a focus for your mind that was separate to everything else you were doing before you lay down. And see if you can leave everything that was happening in your world before just to one side. Let go of any thinking or anticipation about the future, whether it be about the practice or the rest of your weekend or the rest of the week, the rest of this wild, crazy year. And just arrive into the here and now, the only place that matters. How do you feel now compared to when you first arrived onto your mat? And you'll just ever so slowly, when you're ready, begin to walk the arms in a little bit closer to the body. A little bend in the knees, feet to the ground here. And then lightly push into the forearms, draw the chin to the chest, And you'll lift yourself up and just wrap the arms around the front of the shins here. So you're rounding through the spine, chin lightly drawing into the chest, and just notice how that feels. Notice how that feels, rounding through the spine and upper back. Shoulder blades are kind of drawing away from each other here. One more breath. And then just gently begin to roll yourself up to a seat and come to a cross-leg position. Okay, cross-leg, or if you prefer to sit on your shins, you can. And let's take the blocks and just bring them back near the top of the mat now. So you've got freedom on the mat itself. Change the legs so that the one that you normally have in front, if you're cross-legged, is the other way around now. Okay, the not so natural way. Good practice to just find a bit of balance in the hips while we're here. Let's take left hand down to the mat, right hand up to the sky, soften left elbow and lean over. So we're getting into lateral flexion, side bending of the spine here and just creating a little bit of space all the way through the outside line of the ribs here. The intercostal muscles in between the ribs as we focus our breath into the right side of the body. Notice how they expand. Notice how it feels through the lower back, creating a little bit of space between upper and lower body. Relax the head, the neck, the jaw. We have so much tension storing in these upper back and jaw and neck areas. Let's let that go today. Slowly, slowly travel back through center, taking the right hand down, left hand now reaching up and over. Shoulder draws back, fingers reaching, exploring space all the way through that left side body. Notice how it feels in this direction compared to the other. If there's a little balance or imbalance in the body, one more breath here. We're going to do it one more time in each direction. So carry yourself slowly through center, left hand down, elbow soft, right hand up and over. Shoulder draws back, heart lifts. We're breathing into that right side of the body, all of that space coming in. Simple shapes are sometimes the most effective. Come back through center nice and slowly and mindfully. Right hand down, left hand up and over. Lift up through the left side of the body. Breathe into the tender spots. And then gently carry yourself back up through to center. And we're going to inhale the arms all the way up to the sky here. Okay, so the spine is nice and long. And as you exhale, you're going to twist to the left side of the room, taking right hand to the outside of left knee. Other hand is behind you on the ground. Sit tall on your inhale. And as you exhale, draw your ribs, your chest, and your shoulder around. Let the neck be the last thing to move. Hug the belly into the spine so you're really supporting with those core muscles the whole of the spine. Big breath in, sit taller, inhale. Big breath out, twist just a little more if you can. And then keep the spine and the connection to the core strong. Inhale, release the twist, arms back up to the sky, facing forwards. And on your exhale, second side, okay? So we're going to take the left hand to the outside of the right knee, sitting tall on the inhale. As you exhale, ribs, chest and shoulder on the right side, drawing around, and that right hand is on the ground. Just to remind you to sit tall, not to lean into. Sit a little taller as you inhale. Can you draw right ribs, chest and shoulder just a little bit further around here? Notice how that feels. One more breath. Nice, and then just gently release the arms back so hands come to rest on the thighs or the knees here, sitting tall. Shoulders, little shrug up and down towards the ears, just rolling them back and forward or up and down, whichever feels most relaxing for you. Notice if there's any tender spots there. And then let's go ahead and roll ourselves over now into our tabletop position. Okay, now keep the hips above the knees. We're going to walk the fingers forwards and just slowly melt the heart down towards the ground. Now chin or most likely forehead can come to the earth. Option to keep the elbows lifted here or place the elbows to the ground, bend the elbows and reach the fingers or thumbs towards the back of the head. Okay, choice is yours there. Depends on the space in the body. And just notice how it feels in this almost first, actually second extension of the spine. Notice how it feels around the arms. Notice how it feels around the chest, around the heart, around the lungs. Notice how you feel to be in this shape, in this direction of gravity. Opposite direction to how we were when we were lying backwards on those blocks. Which one suits you better? Which one are you able to relax more into? Take another big breath here, and as you exhale, soften a little more around the chest and the heart. And then one more breath. And then release the hands back to the earth if you move them, and lift yourself up ever so slowly back to tabletop position. From tabletop position, round the spine, so you're rounding through the vertebrae here. Chin draws to the chest, so coming into flexion with the spine. Notice how that feels to really move the shoulder blades away from each other, finding that space there. And then inhale, come back through center, front body opens, chest reaching forward, tailbone lifts. And as you exhale, rounding through the spine, try to make it really slow, subtle movement. So you're really articulating as many individual vertebrae as you can. Inhale back through center. 2 more rounds like this, just moving slowly, finding space, releasing, lingering tension. Noticing the areas that feel really released and supple in the body already today, and noticing those that need a little bit more love. 1 more round. And then when the round that you're on is complete, you'll just slowly come back into a neutral spine here. Walk the fingers forwards just a little. And then tuck those toes under, lift the knees and the hips up to the sky, downward facing dog. Walk the dog a little here. Notice how the back of the legs are doing, how the ankles are doing. And then rather than just being on your hands, use your hands to make it more active. So hands push the ground away, hips lift up nice and high to the sky. And just notice all of that length that comes into the spine as you do those 2 things. And this is what we call axial extension. So this is where we're lengthening and creating space in between the vertebrae. Notice the back of the legs and how they're feeling, one compared to the other. 1 more breath, just like this. And then look to the feet if you aren't already. Pause the movement in the legs. Walk the hands towards the feet now. So you're in a forward fold at the back of the mat, still in a flexion now with the spine, shoulders and neck and head relaxed. And as you inhale, draw the belly to the spine, really slowly roll yourself up to standing, vertebrae by vertebrae. Head is the last thing to come up. Okay, interlace the fingers in front of you, apart from the index finger and thumb, and then reach the hands up towards the sky. Some of you can see my hands, some of you not. That's okay though. And then as you exhale, just lean over to your left. So you're getting into right side body. Push down through the foot that's on the side that's stretching. And then come back slowly through center and straight over to the second side. Notice how that feels here. And then come back up to standing. Release the fingers, hands alongside the body. Draw the chin to the chest and let the arms be floppy. Roll yourself down, vertebrae by vertebrae again. This is really nice for releasing those individual vertebrae in the spine. And once you get to have the hands on the floor, inhale, halfway lift. Hands are going to travel up the leg a little. Bend the left knee and then place left hand either flat to the ground or make a fist. And as you exhale, twist the body to the right side of the room, right hand up to the sky. Okay, try and keep that left shoulder above the left wrist. So the twist is really coming from thoracic rather than shoulders helping. 1 more breath. And then lower the hand to the ground, straighten out the legs, forward fold. Inhale here, halfway lift, spine nice and long. And then exhale, soften right knee, right hand to the ground or fist to the ground. Twist the upper body to the left side of the room, left hand up to the sky. Again, check in with right shoulder, make sure it stays where it is. And as you exhale, ribs, chest and shoulders draw around, fingers a little bit higher. Nice big breath. And then look down, soften the knees, hands down, walk forward to downward facing dog. Keep the gaze forward, soften the knees still, and step or jump to the top of the mat here. Again, halfway lift as we arrive. Inhale. And then exhale, fold. Okay, belly to spine. Roll yourself up at the front of the mat, vertebrae by vertebrae, standing tall. Such a simple thing to do, but so good for the juiciness of the discs in between the vertebrae. Hands arrive at heart center once you're standing. Inhale, lift the fingers, lift the heart. So a little back bend here. And then as you exhale, straighten out the spine, hands through heart center, hinging from the hips to forward fold, flexion of the spine. Step your right foot back, lower the knee down, come onto the top of the foot, and then fingers travel up to the sky. Okay, so sink into the hip, grip the earth with the feet. Imagine the inner thighs squeezing in towards each other. Notice how you're powering up through the belly. You're getting that nice stretch through the front of the hip here. Turn the palms to face forward. Bend the elbows so that they come to be next to your shoulders. And then lift the heart up. And it's like you're squeezing the shoulder blades on the back of the body together. So we're strengthening through the midline here. Sinking into the hip. Still imagining squeezing inner thighs together. Lift up even more with the heart here. Take another big breath. Notice how all of that feels around the spine, chest, and shoulders. And then go ahead and look down, right hand to the earth, twist to left side of the room, and again, keep the right shoulder above the wrist, lean back, reach left hand high. Take another big breath. And then let's pick up right foot, see if we can reach around with the hand and take hold of the foot in the hand. And if you can't, just reach towards the foot, reach the foot towards the hand, so it's a little bit more active. Some of you might come onto the outside edge of left foot, leaning back with left shoulder as the knee draws outward. And this is really juicy in the thoracic spine, juicy through the front of the right hip as well. Really nice and strong and strengthening opportunity for the back of the right leg as well. One more breath. And then release the foot if you have it. Hand to the top of the mat. Tug the toes, lift the right knee, step it back to plank. Push away through the heels, all of the muscles around the spine, strong and hugging it. Exhale, chaturanga all the way down here. Inhale, baby cobra for the first round, chest forward. And then tuck the toes under, lift through plank, downward facing dog. Okay, nice big breath. Hands push the earth away, hips lift high, which is that axial extension or lengthening motion of the spine. Inhale, right leg rises. And then step the foot slow motion between the hands, so a little core work on the way, and then left knee down. Feet grip the earth, fingers reach for the sky, belly draws in and up. All of the muscles around the spine, hugging it nice and tightly as you engage through the core. Gripping the earth and squeezing those inner thighs into each other. Place the palms to face forward, bend the elbows. Lift up with the heart and lean back with those fingers. Notice how it feels a second time around. Sometimes it gets easier and easier with these shapes. Sometimes not. So just see how that goes for you. Take another breath as you sink down, lifting a little higher here. One more breath. And then look down, left hand to the ground, twist upper body to right side of the room, right hand reaching high. Check in with left shoulder, make sure it's in line with the wrist, ribs and right chest go back even more. Some of you might pick up left foot, reach around with right hand to take hold of it. Some of you might lean back. Some of you might just be reaching the two together. You might roll onto the outside edge of right foot, knee draws out, lean back more if you can. Notice how all of that feels. Slow down. Nice, and then just slowly release the foot. Hand to the top of the mat, tuck the toes, lift the knee, and then step forward, forward fold. Okay, so the spine is in flexion, we're in an inversion, it's nice and calming and relaxing for a moment here, so catch your breath. Head heavy, neck relaxed. And then keep that belly drawn in as you roll yourself up slowly, 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 vertebrae by vertebrae, all the way up to standing. Once you get there, hands come together, interlace the fingers apart from thumb and index. And then reach the hands up to the sky, standing tall. And as you exhale, lean over to your left so you get into the right side body again here, lateral flexion. Come back up through center, standing tall, and then lean over in the other direction. Notice how that feels. And then travel back up to standing. Release the hands and bring them down alongside the body. Okay, nice and relaxed. Chin draws into the chest and just roll yourself down, rounding through the spine nice and slowly as you come very, very slowly into that forward fold. Okay. Inhale, halfway lift. So now we strengthen the muscles that support the spine. And then exhale, hands down, stepping left foot back. Stay on the ball of the back foot. Inhale, rising up into a crescent pose. Okay, reach away through the left heel, sinking down into the hips here. And let's just take a moment to stand with our posture in a nice upright position, nice and empowered around the shoulders and upper back here. Keep all of that as it is and then guide the hands together at heart center. Push them firmly against each other. Big inhale to lengthen the spine, and as we exhale, twisting to the right side here. Reach the hands away from each other. And then flip left palm up. Hand reaches up to the sky. Right hand travels down to find the back of left leg. Sinking into right foot, right knee, reaching back with left fingers. And just notice how that feels here. Awakening through the side body, a twist through the spine, a nice little juicy psoas opener. Big, big breath. Nice. And then release the hands slowly to the ground. Step back to downward facing dog. Turn the toes out a little in down dog. Walk the hands towards the feet. Forward fold at the back of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift, spine long. And then exhale, bend those knees, sink down into Malasana. So hands are going to meet at heart center, yogi squat. Reach the arms into the inner thighs, so the legs open wide. Keep the spine nice and long. Take right arm in front of right leg, fingers to the floor. On your exhale, twist to the left side of the room, left hand reaching high. Notice how that feels to get into the upper back area here, as well as opening inner thigh. Take another big breath. And then slowly take the hands to heart center. Sit tall. And then when you're ready, take a big inhale here. Exhale, left arm to the ground in front of left leg on a twist with the right hand up now. Ribs, chest, reaching. Slow things down. One more breath. And then slowly guide yourself back to Malasana. Take an inhale and an exhale here. Spine nice and long, collarbone broad. And then our hands to the ground. We straighten out the legs, toes face forward. We come to downward facing dog here. All right. As you inhale, you're going to pick left leg up now, three-legged downward dog. And as you exhale, step the foot between the hands. Stay on the ball of the right foot, rising up into your crescent pose. Okay, so you're really going to be reaching away through the back heel to get nice and steady. Sinking into the hips, inner thighs squeezing in towards each other. Nice and strong through the upper back here, chest broad. Sink a little deeper. Keep the power in the upper back as you guide the hands to heart center. Really push them firmly against each other. Big inhale. And then exhale now, twisting to the left. Okay, reaching the right hand forward, left hand back. Flipping right palm up, scooping the air as you reach back with that hand. And left hand is now reaching towards the back thigh. Sink into the hip. Notice how that feels to get into the front of the hip here. Notice how it feels to get into the spine and chest and ribs and heart as well. One more breath. And then slowly look down, hands to the ground. This time step back to plank. Okay, last time we stepped forward. Exhale, chaturanga all the way down. And then inhale, baby cobra first round, strengthening through the upper back. And then lower down. Push into the hands, lift up with the back body, come up into cobra, a little higher from the ground, but still with a bend in the elbows. And then lower yourself down. This time take the hands and interlace the fingers if you can behind the back, or just reach the hands towards each other here, peeling up with a little bit more effort. Maybe the legs are going to float away from the ground, coming into locust. Maybe not. Take another breath. And then place the hands next to the chest on the floor. Tuck the toes under. Lift up through plank, coming into your downward facing dog. Hands push the earth away. Hips nice and high. Thighs reaching back. Notice how the body's feeling here. The space that you've created. The movements that we've made to find a little bit more freedom. Go ahead and just walk the feet in a couple of inches closer to the wrists. Put the weight into right hand. Left hand reaches across to the outside of right ankle or shin, twisting your upper body over to the right side of the room. Notice how that feels. And then place left hand back to the earth. Swap over with right hand reaching to outside of left leg. Body reaching over to left side now. And then release the hands to the ground. Look to the center of the mat, soften the knees. Walk the feet forward to the center. Bend the knees more, bottom to the ground, and then let the soles of the feet touch as the knees draw outward. Interlace the fingers around the toes. Sit nice and tall as you inhale. And as you exhale, gently start to lean your way forward. Rounding through the back, but collarbone nice and broad. Length through the side body, but belly drawn in. Notice that nice release through the inner thigh, but notice that flexion of the spine here, rounding forward just a touch. Close your eyes here, 3 breaths, nourishing through the inside line of the legs, releasing tension in the lower back. Finding space in between the vertebrae of the back of the body. One more big breath here. And then you'll slowly release the feet, rolling yourself up nice and slowly to a seat. Hands come under the knees come together. And then just gently place the feet to the ground ahead of you. Lower yourself down onto your back. And then let the right leg stay on the earth. Hug the left knee into the chest. Left arm to left side of the body. And then take the knee across with the right hand to the right side of your mat. Try and let the left shoulder blade stay on the ground here if you can. Twisting through the spine. And yet when we keep the shoulder blades anchored to the ground, perhaps you won't twist as deeply, but you're really focusing your attention on thoracic spine here. 2 more breaths in this direction. Last one. And slowly, slowly unwind. Come back through center, knee to chest. Releasing the leg to the ground. Swapping the legs, right knee into the chest now. Adjust your hips if you need to. Right arm to the right side of the room. Knee comes across to the left side of the room. Right shoulder blade connects to the earth where you can. Notice how it feels in this direction. If there is a sense of symmetry between the 2 sides of your body, is everything in balance? Or do we need to be paying attention a little to one side more than the other? Take another big breath. And then you'll gently release the leg back into center, give it a hug. And then let that right leg relax down to the mat. Take your arms out nice and wide, resting down into our final resting pose for this short, sweet Sunday practice. Shoulders relaxing down, back line of the body melting into the earth. Closing our eyes when we feel ready. As we bring ourselves into this place of stillness, calmness, and simply surrendering to the act of being. Bringing just the smallest little movements and wiggles to the fingers and the toes. And beginning to reach the arms all the way up overhead. Full body stretch. And from here, drawing the knees in towards your chest, giving them a hug, and then gently rolling over to whichever side feels best for you today. Keeping your eyes closed as you use your hands to push the ground away. Lifting you up to a comfortable seat. Just noticing how the body feels broader, taller, more spacious, more free. And let's bring our hands to heart center. Bowing our head to our hands in gratitude for the spaciousness, in gratitude for our health, in gratitude for the practice today. Namaste.